Iraqi Kurdish President Masoud Barzani says the issue of who owns Kirkuk has been resolved. Kurdish fighters took the city 2 weeks ago, fighting off a Sunni rebellion, and they have no plans to give it up. The British Foreign Secretary William Hague is meeting with the Kurdish president to discuss the ongoing fight for Iraq and the role of the Kurds. Hoda Abdul Hamid is in Erbil for us. What is the role of the Kurds now? Where does this leave them, Hoda?
Well, the Kurds are certainly in a position of strength. They've made incredible gains over the past 2 weeks as the Sunni and Shias are at each other's throat. And probably something that they did not expect to happen so swiftly. Now, as you said, they are in control of Kirkuk, and they are in control also of all the other disputed territories. They say it's not their fault, but it's simply because they had to fill the security vacuum left behind when the Iraqi army pulled out. But on the other hand, as Masoud Barzani clearly stated it earlier today, that resolves the issue of Article 140 of the Constitution. It's an article that was calling for a referendum to be held on the future of the disputed territories, and it's actually this article that convinced the Kurds back in 2005 to sign off this constitution which the negotiations were led by the Americans at the time. So all this story goes way back to when the new Iraq was building up its political process and its new, positions of friends for each of these different ethnic groups. So certainly now Masoud Barzani says there is no going back to the position this country was only 3 weeks ago.
I'm sure this leaves Nouri al-Maliki, the Prime Minister, increasingly isolated.
Well, we haven't heard any reaction from him ever since Masoud Barzani made the statement. But over the past few days, we've heard from the very close entourage of Nouri al-Maliki condemnation of the Kurds. They said that they were taking advantage of the situation. There was also condemnation because several of the tribal sheikhs of Al-Anbar, the governor of Mosul, for example, are residing in the Kurdish region at the moment. So you've heard accusations and allegations that actually the Kurds in this one were on the sides of the Sunnis. But as you said, it leaves Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki in a very delicate position because now you have the Kurds, the Sunnis, but then you have very influential Shia leaders like Muqtada al-Sadr, for example, who only a few days ago pointed the finger at the Prime Minister, said it was your fault, and he said also there is no place for this Prime Minister in the future of this country. A man like Muqtada al-Sadr commands thousands of militia fighters, so certainly a very weakened position for the Prime Minister.
Hoda Abdul Hamid reporting live. Let's quickly look at some key cities in Iraq and who holds them. The Kurds control a large swathe of the north. That's the autonomous region. Its capital is Erbil, and the Kurds now hold Kirkuk, a key position because of its oil reserves. They took Kirkuk as ISIL spread and the Iraqi army collapsed. Another city the Iraqi army could not hold was Mosul. It is now in the hands of ISIL, and so is Tikrit. That's where Human Rights Watch accuses ISIL of massacres. The military still holds Baghdad and all of the south. Our correspondent Imran Khan reports on the Iraqi army's attempts to take back Tikrit.
Iraqi military aircraft high in the skies over Tikrit. In a battle not reported by Iraqi authorities or in state media, elite commando units are alleged to have tried to get a foothold in the town's university compound. Using helicopters, they landed in the stadium. Witnesses reported fierce fighting and that 2 out of the 3 helicopters used were downed. People here say the military hit targets indiscriminately and used illegal weapons.
There is no presence of militants here. There is no ISIL. You can film the whole area here and you will see for yourself it's a residential area. Families live here.
They dropped barrel bombs here. We were home and all of a sudden 2 blasts took place. There is no one here, no militants, no one here in the region.
The families were displaced. They all left to Sulaymaniyah or Kirkuk. The situation is quite difficult here. There is no gas, no water, no electricity.
The government haven't released any information about this operation, but they have told Al Jazeera that they are in control of the university, but they haven't given us any evidence to back that up. Now, Tikrit is a crucial town. It's not only the hometown of Saddam Hussein, the former dictator, but it's seen as being one of the key towns in the Sunni heartland, and ISIL won't want to give it up very easily. ISIL also says it's captured many soldiers and military equipment, including tanks. Human Rights Watch says nearly 190 of those captured Iraqi army recruits were murdered by the fighters. The rights group analysed satellite imagery and photos released by the fighters, but it says that further investigation is difficult because of the fighting. Weeks into this crisis, Iraq's politicians still haven't been able to agree on a united solution. And for many Sunni residents of Tikrit who feel let down by the Shia-led government, hopes of stability remain just that. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera.